let's continue our focus on all things film. If you have a script idea and you want to turn that into a film, if you want to turn it into reality, then maybe our next guest can help. Film director and the founder of Create Labs. Please welcome Uzair Merchant. What an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Listen, the role of filmmaker, or not so much the role, the journey to being a filmmaker is such a personal one. And it comes from so many different backgrounds, so many different stories as well, the stories that create the stories. What was your route into filmmaking?
It was the ability to use cinema more than just the medium of visual spectacle. How can we fuse science and art to create fiction? The mind, body, and soul journey. That was kind of my outlet out of it. And films that really kind of inspired me were social realist stories. Films like Castaway, films like, you go back and see like Metropolis, the original one, Citizen Kane, and you always had stories that were more than just about one person. It's how it affected a broader audience. And I think we're at the brink of that era now of filmmaking that, you bring up things like AI and stuff like that, but it lacks soul. And I think the fusion of how we can tell real stories is by actually addressing that point, is by just telling a story, are we really addressing the emotion behind it? It's a canvas. It's the ability of moving hearts through frames.
So Uzair, I've seen some of your work. They're so beautifully done, from your documentaries to your fiction. How can you balance that deep, beautiful visuals with the authentic narrations from a technical and emotional point of view?
Oh, cool. So on one of my short films I did, I actually explored Einstein's theory of relativity. And it was a short film that is called Chasing Lines. And we actually did everything in camera. Nothing was done in post. And so relativity actually explores watching or experiencing multiple timelines from a particular time zone. So the actors were actually walking for 25 minutes for 5 steps. And while the world is moving super fast, the audience is sitting in between, almost godlike, and watching 2 elements of time play out while this is, the story is playing out. And so for me, that itself, when you do things like that and you actually explore the science of how we can fuse how nature works in cinema, and I think there's something beautiful that comes out of it. And every time someone watches that, they're like, hey, how'd you do that? I was like, well, we actually did it. That was an experiment. It was relativity explored through cinema.
Uzair, I just want to go back into talking about you and your story of becoming a filmmaker. Obviously, we have people who are watching or who are thinking, maybe one day, that's the route for me. I just want to ask, as someone who, just like me, found Dubai as the place where we grew up in, we both grew up in Dubai, how has Dubai helped you to reach your dream as a filmmaker?
I think the first thing is vision. When you grow up in a place like Dubai, you have the surroundings of having vision where anything is possible. And I think as a filmmaker, you have to believe that, even though it's madness at some point, but yes, anything is possible. But each person has their own route. Mine was design, so my background is production design. So I actually went to uni and studied production design before studying film and making film. That was my kind of vision into this is how a storyteller can really authenticize a story. James Cameron, Hitchcock, Ridley Scott, they were all art directors or designers before they became filmmakers. So that was kind of my outlet. I would really advise anyone that wants to make film is you have to firstly be honest with yourself. Why do you want to make it? Why do you want to tell this story? What is in that story and why you should be telling that story? You have to be honest with yourself.
It's interesting you use that point about anything is possible. I think that's what's beautiful about this, and it goes back to your point of sort of a bit of a blank canvas. But it also comes with a few realities as well. Bit of funding, a proper team around you, distribution, etc.
Yeah.
What are the and we are a city of dreamers here and things like that. Everyone thinks they've got a story. Everyone thinks they can make a film. What are the skills that are most underestimated and underappreciated when it comes to turning a vision into a reality?
Finding a good producer, and knowing that you have to constantly be learning. And she understands that more than anyone. But really it comes down to that, and film school doesn't teach you that. And that was one of the reasons why I went back into education. So I also guest lecture at universities because of that. I was like, wait, if someone told me this 15 years ago, I could have done many things differently. But you can go make something, but who's gonna watch it? Where are you gonna put it out? What's that distribution outlet? So you're better off sometimes taking an idea and going to someone that has more experience and being like, hey, if you were to watch this, what do you need to see for you to greenlight it? Or what are you looking for? There's a trend, cool, how can we tap this idea into this trend? And then usually you have a budget and you won't get it. And then that's the beauty of filmmaking. It's, okay, you got half. Well, can you still make it? I promise you, any filmmaker that really wants it will find a way to make it in the half. Someone's gonna be like, no, I wish I had more money. Pull in favors. That's when you pull in those favors. Because if you really, really want to, it's possible. And earlier this year, we actually did a project here in Dubai, which she's also part of, wherein we shot a TV show pilot, all made in UAE. And we're actually getting this out to international streamers now. And the idea was, how do we take local talent? So the entire thing, start to end, it's called Volt X. From post to crew to actors, stunts, every single thing was done here, local crew. And that was kind of my way of going, listen, we have talent. How can we push that out? Then you take the other side. We have a film between Taiwan and here that we're doing, that I wrote the feature and I'm directing it. But when they came to me about it, it was, okay, let's blend culture in. So let's work with another Taiwanese writer, and I want to work and understand that culture. So when you understand blank canvas, it's, okay, how do we fit in this blank canvas these things that can help make it sellable? Because as artists, we want to do crazy things, but sometimes it comes down to the numbers.
And that's the thing that I wanted to ask you next, because you mentioned Voltex, you mentioned, creating an kind of ecosystem of collaborators here in the UAE who do work together to promote more of our voice out there. How do you find these collaborators that kind of meet you halfway and say, hey, your idea is amazing, let's just do it?
If you can't convince another person, you're not going to convince the audience, right? And I think it kind of begins from there. It's like, if it's not enticing enough for someone else like yourself would be like, hey, I really want to be part of this, then I think the producer as well is not going to see that. So it's really about finding that story or taking an idea on, like me coming to you and you saying, hey, I wish we can add this element in it, or add this, this little nuance in it. And I should be willing to take that on. And now you feel that you're part of it. And so I think that's making collaborative processes about envisioning and taking on ideas. And everyone's working to one goal. It's not, just one person's idea.
I want to quickly go back to that story that you were telling earlier on about how if you cut half of the funding, and a good filmmaker would still make it work. Let's go to your story. Could you share with us a moment where there was like intense pressure and you still managed to make things work? If you could tell us a little bit about that and what you learned from that experience.
That's pretty been my entire career, 18 years to be honest. My company is called Be Creative for that reason. Every time someone runs out of an idea or it's time crunching, I get a call. I'll give you an example of Volt X. When we did it, we had Intercon, the hotel, sponsor us, and instead of 4 days, we cut down to 2 days. And it was, hey, we still have to shoot this. So we rewrote the scenes from day to night and still made it work. The idea is, okay, how do we make this still tell the story? I had to lose some shots. It did hurt my creative ego, but I got to live with it. At the end of the day, when you have so many people putting something down for that vision, it's bigger than you. So you have to do it for everybody else. Whether it comes down to time crunch, comes down to working with your actors, prepping. I think prep is underrated. And for someone to really do something in a low budget, they should know what they're doing. It's not, let's go wing it, but let's rehearse it. Actors knowing their lines. Do we know what we need when we're there? So we prepped, we went in, we actually rehearsed every single bit. There's stunts and fights, we rehearsed every single thing down to pretty much the T. So on the day when we're rolling, we're just going back to back. And the first AD is like, hey man, I don't think you can get this shot. Okay, we'll move on. We're still prepped for the next one. And that's just how we go.
Well, Uzair, I'm so excited to have you here because we're talking about one of my favorite topics, just filmmaking. So please stay with us because next up, we'll be talking to a young lady who starred in and won Best Emirati Short at the Dubai Film Festival. And a little tip here, she's been an actress in a movie I directed recently as well, so stay tuned.